Hello and good afternoon. Very happy to be here. When I was young, in the high school, I tried very hard to be good at basketball. I practiced a lot, and I had a dream that I will one day perform in front of audience in a basketball hall. That was 45 years ago or so. Well, my dream came true. Well, obviously I will not play basketball here, but it's really good to be here in front of all of you to talk about one topic that we in the telecom industry have been talking about for maybe more than 20 years, and we have made all kinds of promises to you, developers, but we did not deliver. And now, the turn is on us who have been thinking differently to fulfill the promise of the telecom world and put the power of networks onto your hands. Before I go there, just one thing. I'm from Nokia, and no, we are not in mobile phone business. We gave that up. We are providing communication technologies to pretty much every operator in the world. There is a very high probability that about half of you are connected through some kind of a Nokia equipment there. So, let's go straight to the... Okay, is it going? Yep. First, what are the network APIs? So, you know what APIs are, you know what network is. But in reality, what we are trying to do is deliver the capabilities of networks so that you can seamlessly integrate into your applications and the digital experiences that you are building for your own customers. That's the definition of the network API as we see that. With this, you will get access to the very powerful network assets which are running globally, and hopefully it will be exactly the same way how you integrate everything else onto your application. In order to do that, we at Nokia has worked very hard to provide a platform that we call Network as Code. And this is a platform which is working on making that promise of extreme, radical simplification of network capabilities by going network by network, ingesting those very complex capabilities into a layer of a platform that then curates and prepares them for you, the developer, to be consumed, whether through a developer portal that we at Nokia have developed or through a developer portal of your favorite partner that you work with, such as Infobip or whoever else you work with. This way, we think we will create benefits for everyone involved here. For CSPs, there will be benefits that they will be able to make more money and monetize the capabilities that they have heavily invested. While for developers, getting access to certain capabilities without ever even learning a thing about 5G networks. And that's, I think, the promise which hopefully we will be fulfilling, and we'd love to hear feedback already now from you. Some of the capabilities that we have prepared for developers are in the form of APIs. Imagine if you need to guarantee the quality of service of a session for 30 minutes. That capability you don't have today. It's very difficult to do, and it's a very complex undertaking. I'm going to demonstrate that it's doable and it's real today. There are applications when you, let's say, want to develop another layer of anti-fraud for the credit card payments or ATM withdrawals. Device location, which is trusted, and not some device location which comes from a device that can be easily spoofed. But the device location that comes from the network is going to be your powerful API that you can use in multiple ways to deliver digital experiences. One of those is you go and make a payment. For example, I'm here in Zadar. I go and make a payment with my credit card. Well, the credit card company checks, okay, where is Shkumbin's phone? Well, if my phone is in Helsinki, then when was the last time Shkumbin went out of home without a phone? So there's a high likelihood that that's a fraud. So even that kind of a capability is going to be important for the device, for the developers as well. Then in our telecom wisdom, we speak something that is called network slice. It's a very big thing in telecom world. Probably it means nothing to you. The way we represent that to the developers is in a form of we give you capability to create a specialized network for your needs. Let's say you develop an application with a digital experience that you want to create one network to connect, let's say, 5G video devices that would work always flawlessly according to your request. Instead of calling your CSP and going through endless legal discussions and so on, then all you need to do is basically use the APIs that we have developed. There are more, and I invite you to actually check them through. But I want to, actually, this is a developer experience, and I'd like to share some of the code with you. So I will now connect to, let's see, how would that work? I will connect to a PC back in Finland. It's in the city of Tampere, 200 kilometers north of, okay, something has been going on here. Let's see. So, we have let me do one thing here before I start the demo. So what I have here is a sample code that you can use to control the quality of service on demand for a particular device. This is just an Android phone that I will be running here a speed test. And this will show what is the current speed test in the, sorry. It's very hard to see because it's not shown in my, okay, now it's going on. So I've generated a traffic on a device, and you can see the current latency has just increased heavily. In order to control the quality of service on this particular device, all I need to do is basically run this particular code. You import the SDK, we do some mapping, we also run this particular line, we get the device to be and now I will say, you know what, for this particular device with this IP address, which I don't know whether you can see it really well, I want a high quality of service. And what happens here, in about 400 milliseconds, the bit rate went from 5 megabits per second to 25 or so. And the latency suddenly dropped to 40 milliseconds. So now I can run this particular session as long as I need. Let's say it's a very important Teams call for me, or I'm broadcasting this event to everyone using 5G network. It's extremely important that this goes flawlessly. And this continues working until I say, you know what, I've had enough, I paid enough to the operator, so let me go and clear this one. And then the bit rate should go down to whatever it was there. And of course, the network gets even worse. So this is the power of the code that you can use. And believe me, everyone who has been in any telecom world understands that doing this is very, very difficult and very complex. Behind these 4 or 5 lines of code, there are probably, I know exactly how many API calls are there, but there are probably tens of thousands of code which is running in the background to make this happen. So this is just an example of the capabilities that we would put into your hands. But then you could think, okay, you gave me some good examples. I'll have more, but let me just bring my presentation back, and sorry about that. Okay, it's here. And go back to this. We have done all kinds of proof of concepts. We have supported remote operations of remote piloting of big ships in a port of Antwerp. We have flown drones over very congested areas in Germany and in Belgium. We have offered quality of service on demand to those, and that has been really powerful use case. I talked about finance. There are plenty of other use cases that you can do in an environment like this. The one that we have actually demonstrated in Finland, well, basketball tries to be good, but we are pretty good in ice hockey. So in an ice hockey hall, very similar to this one, we have placed 360 cameras and offered a live view of an ice hockey game to the subscribers utilizing the VR headsets. In addition, our partner Elisa went one step further and actually broadcasted the first VR concert in the world. It was Andrea Bocelli's concert, utilizing the capabilities that we are talking about here. But what we have here is something even more interesting that I spoke. But for that, as you will see, nothing like this happens by one company or by one entity. This is truly an ecosystem and partnership work. And I'm very happy to invite on stage here Boris Drilo, CTIO of Croatian Telekom, and Matija Razem, VP at Infobip. Both of those are somewhere around here. I'd like to invite them on stage. Or maybe they gave up waiting. So. So, thank you, Matija, thank you, Boris, and welcome to this session here. So what we want to do is, we want to show how you can actually drive a car, yes, drive a car from Zadar in streets of Espoo in Finland. And that, for that to happen is, you know, this is really hard. It's not a rocket science, it's a car science, but it's not easy to be done. So it requires a remote driving console, which is actually here outside, and you should be able to see that when you walk out there. And then that particular console is connected to Infobip's platform, where the application developer for that console said, I'm going to use the SimSwap API to make it super secure. And then it connected to Nokia's platform to ensure that the quality of service is really working properly. And then this particular console is connected to Croatian Telekom network here, and the car, which we are going to hopefully see very soon, is connected to Elisa's network in Finland. Elisa is an operator like Croatian Telekom there in Finland. So altogether, a pretty complex one. Before we start talking with Boris and Matija, I would like to actually see whether we can make a link directly to Finland and to, let's see. Sorry.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you yet. Just give me a second. We'll come in a second. All right, so, Liron, what are you doing there?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit?
Well, yes. Well, it's a fine day outside, Shkumbin, so I thought that I might take my car for a spin. The only thing is that my car is not located here in Zadar. It's actually located in Espoo in Finland. So the beauty here is that using Elmo, and using network APIs, I'm actually able to, as you can see, I'm able to drive it from remotely, from 2,000 kilometers away. And when I have some issues with my bandwidth, I can just boost it up using quality service on demand.
I stopped.
I stopped. That's the beauty of network APIs, and I'm actually able I'm actually able to use network APIs to change the quality on demand of the video while I'm driving.
Yeah.
And you can experience that and much more demos here at at the garden site outside.
Yeah, so I'll let you actually focus on what you're doing there before you kill someone. So let's get back here to the stage. So, Boris, what are your thoughts about this topic overall?
First of all, hello from my side, and it is very nice to be here on stage. And thanks, Shkumbin, for introducing this topic. And I think this topic is of great interest for you developers here, because it is redefining the term of backend for IT developers. So what we are trying to explain today is that backend functionalities now for the app developers are reaching the 5G network. And what we are trying to show is that all of the advanced capabilities of 5G, the complexity of the network is now just few line codes away from you. So you can, in a very simple way, integrate into your applications functionality like location that can be explained through the fraud case, but also when it comes to the quality of demand and many other communication as a service capabilities.
Yeah, great. But, we have been talking about this, as I said, as a telco industry for a while. Why do you think this time people should trust us?
Because of, I would say, three things. First thing is that we are having very interesting capabilities as a part of the 5G network. The second thing, it is about simplicity. It is very simple to use all of those APIs. They are standardized, and they're gonna work all over the world. So it is not something which is related just to one telco operator or to the particular group of telco operators. It is worldwide standard, driven by GSMA, which is a standardization organization for mobile communication providers. And the third thing is, which is behind that, scalability. So whatever you write as a code here in Croatia or everywhere else in the world, you can deploy over Infobip and Nokia platform or any other platforms in the world that is going to deal with such a model.
Yeah. Now, the developers have access to all kinds of APIs. Any thoughts yourself on when we could really give this into hands of these developers who are sitting here? Would that be ready immediately, or do we need to wait a bit?
We are introducing those APIs one by one. The key functionality in the 5G core network is network exposure functionality. It is coming with the 5G standalone core. So the crucial thing for the telco operators is to introduce that functionality in the network, that group of the network functions, because there is a lot of complexity over there. But this is not something for developers to bother about.
Yeah.
So what is important, I would say, for you to go to the internet, explore what Infobip and others are offering in this area, learn about open API, network APIs. There are a lot of reference material, and start thinking about that and start working on it.
Yeah, thanks. So, well, Boris talked about the role of standards. So what are your thoughts? I think you have been also very active in the new developments like, the open source project in Linux Foundation around Camara. So what is your thinking about that, and how does that help?
Well, as you know, for example, I'm not sure about the timings, but like say 5-6 years ago, there was this PSD2 standard for finance institutions, which actually opened APIs for banking institutions and for transactions. It turned out to be actually a very big success in that sense, because there are so many fintechs that are actually using that and creating new models, new things, new applications on top of that standard. This was for banking and for financial transactions. Now we are talking about telecom transactions. We are talking about Camara. We are talking about Open Gateway, which is basically a very similar thing, a little bit more extended. But what we are trying to do as Infobip is to actually open those APIs to, first of all, somehow to consolidate them, because it's still not a proper standard. We are not talking about proper standard yet. We will come to that. We are working on a standard together with Deutsche Telekom, with GSMA, with all the big telcos in the world, where we're actually trying to create some kind of API standard which is really easy to use, which is same everywhere, and which is, in a sense, consolidated and aligned.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one thinking that I personally believe. I spend lots of time in creating standards, but that's not sufficient. That's necessary, but not a sufficient condition to make it happen. You have spent lots of time obviously attracting so many developers into your platform. Any thoughts on what else we could do to make it more attractive for this crowd?
Well, we can do this, what we are currently doing. Yeah. So use cases, demos, new things. So obviously we will create few use cases, maybe 5, 10 of them, which will be very interesting to people here, maybe people outside of this room. But I actually expect from you guys, from you around us, that actually create new things, new services, new models, actually based on this what we can offer to you. So based on these APIs that we can open to you. So I think the most important thing is that we create different use cases and that those use cases are properly promoted globally.
Yeah. And Boris, from the perspective of, I know you run your shop in Croatia, but you understand that for the developers here, it's, Croatia, while it's attractive, it's not the rest of the world. So how do you tackle the issue of avoiding developer fragmentation? Would you think that these kind of collaborations are going to help avoiding that?
Absolutely. As I said, I think the scale is one of the most important things. Yeah. So if you are having fragmentation, this is not recipe to succeed. I think that events like this are exactly the platforms where we should bring the topics like open network APIs. This is something new, something which is redefining the way how you can create the application, and something which is also opening up the doors for the new business models to be explored in the market. So I think with this standardization going into the place and having the global platforms to aggregate the APIs, the access to the different markets in the world is becoming extremely easy. So creating the application, as I said, somewhere in the world and deploying it worldwide, it is going to be a rather simple thing to do. This is, in a way, that the vision that we would like to go towards.
Yeah. And I saw you earlier, you drove the car remotely from here to Finland. So can you share a little bit with the audience your experience there?
Yeah, I would like to invite everyone else to try this for her or his own, because this is a unique experience. It is a different thing than driving the real car, physical car. You just need to relax and to be smooth with the driving and everything will be fine. But it is interesting that the complete thing works. And what is also important here to share with the audience is that everything works in the production environment. So this is not proof of the concept. It is not something which is running in the lab. So it is using the network that all of you are using right now and going through the internet and the links that are being used by many other users of the traffic and the internet in Europe today.
Yeah. So how about you? Did you try driving it, or?
Unfortunately, not yet.
Okay.
But,
so
after this session, I'm definitely heading
so
there.
You have a challenge ahead of you.
Yes, definitely.
I would just thank both of you for joining me on stage. I hope that we have created some imagination for the group of developers who are watching here or abroad as well. And we'll hope to see these network APIs moving forward. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And would like to just conclude that, picking up what Boris just said, this is not POC, this is not lab. What you saw happening is on the live networks available today. So whether you want to develop applications for remote driving or for finance services or for healthcare or for whatever vertical you are serving, please come and work with us. We are very eager to collaborate under your terms, getting access to the APIs the way you are used to, and with few clicks, getting them into your production. It was a real pleasure for me. Thank you very much, and have a great day.